So I think it's safe to say that, understanding how skills work in agents, whether you're working with different types of LLMs, a Claude, Gemini, whatever it is such an underrated power. Once you understand how a skill works, how it's useful, what it's used for, how to structure a skill, then I think you'll be in such a better place to build much more powerful agents. And I think we've come to this new dawn in AI where agentic AI is really taking off, right? You can see this exponential growth. And with agentic AI, there's a lot of elements to agentic AI, and one of them is skills. So being able to master skills is going to be so important for your career, your productivity, just the way to do things more effectively. And so in this video, I wanted to explain a couple things. What skills are. The second one is how they actually work. Third one is why they're so useful. And then finally, how to create your own skill. So I think that's going to be really beneficial for you. So tune in until the end. Now, in order to understand skills, you need to understand how we use AI today. And frankly speaking, I think most of us use AI in a general way, where we use AI as a chatbot, right? Basically, us chatting to a GPT, could be a Claude, and just asking questions. It's a Q&A style dynamic between you and the AI. Now, this is great. Now, it works, right? But as we start to get into much more complicated and complex workflows, you need to understand that chatbots can only work to a certain degree. And this is where agents are becoming extremely powerful. So with a general prompt, you generally would have a prompt, and inside this prompt, you would have a bunch of text, a bunch of things that you want the prompt to do, right? And what the agent will do, it will traverse the prompt from the top to the bottom. Now, the problem with this is that if you squeeze all of your logic into that singular prompt, you're going to have a few issues. The first one, it's going to be unreliable, right? The bigger the prompt, the more likely that it's going to be unreliable, it's going to be inefficient, it's going to be bloated, it's going to be longer to execute, it's also going to be monolithic. And what I mean by monolithic is that it's going to be challenging for you to take out certain pieces of logic to do whatever you want. And so if you combine everything into one prompt, you have this sort of like a huge piece of text that the agent has to now go into and try to sift out exactly what it needs to do. And then what will happen is that this will lead to something called attention decay. And this is a widely common phenomenon that we're starting to see with very bloated instructions, very bloated prompts. And you probably will come across this term if you haven't already. It is called lost in the middle, right? And basically what this is that you have a situation where the accuracy deteriorates depending on where your logic is inside that prompt, right? So if we have the position on the x-axis and the accuracy on execution on the y-axis, you'll start to see this U-shaped behavior. And this is where the positioning of the logic really does matter. The positioning at the beginning, at the end is great. You have that accuracy that you want. But the more that you squeeze that logic, especially that important logic, inside that prompt, that's positioned somewhere sort of in the middle, you have this degradation of that logic. And now you start to see where the agent starts to hallucinate. It starts to do weird things, starts to hallucinate, starts to misunderstand what you're trying to do with this logic. And so this is what attention decay is all about, right? So the question is, how do you actually deal with this, right? You've got all of these problems. So, one of the things that currently happens is that you have you have a crossover between access and logic, right? And what happens is that when you squeeze all of the stuff into one giant file, you start to have this overlap on the Venn diagram. You have this sort of mixing between logic and access, when in fact you want separation. You want these to be separated. You want access and logic to be disassociated. So that way you can reuse logic, and then you can also reuse access. The logic is the agent side of things, the reasoning side of things, and the access is more so the skill side of things to access, the MCPs, the APIs, the web access. So how does a skill actually work, right? I think that's the next question we need to answer, because this is going to be really important in understanding how to build a skill. So let's go back to the prompt example where you have a prompt that you've written. Now with a skill, what you'll have is somewhere, you'll have some skills, and this could be skill 1, skill 2, and skill 3, right? And so what happens is that when you have a skill that's written well, you create this sort of advantage for yourself, and you have this where the skill is much more refined, much more narrow in scope, and it's also repeatable as well. There's a lot of advantages of having skills, right? And what this turns out to be is that something called procedural. You have something that's procedural logic. So think of it as a recipe, as step-by-step instructions. And this is exactly what a skill is. Like going back to what I mentioned before, this is sort of the access and the logic being separated out. So the skill is that access. It's accessing the things you wanted to access and do. And so this is why it's so important to have a skill that's really refined, narrow, and repeatable. And we'll talk about statelessness as well. That's at the end. But for the most part, when you have procedural knowledge baked into a skill, it allows you to power up your agents much more effectively, because it's using these skills to do particular and very, very specific tasks. The other benefit of having skills is that it is completely agnostic, which means you can use this against any LLM that you so wish, right? You can use this for a Claude. You can use this for GPT, Gemini, and so on and so forth. And the reason this has become agnostic is because it has been standardized under agents, skills.io. Go to this website and feel free to look at the spec, right? Because it allows you to understand how a skill is created, what a skill consists of, and all of these great things that come with skills. Now, the thing is that we've so far spoken about why skills are useful, but we haven't really explained how they're structured. So think of a skill as a folder, for example. It's not just a file, it's a folder. Now, let's assume that you have a project you're working on. It could be an app, could be anything, could be content, could be a portfolio of stuff that you're working for with your company, for example. And let's say you have a few things here. You have an app folder, you have a content folder, for example, and then you have a agent folder. And this is a hidden agent folder that will be used by your model. And this could be Gemini, could be Claude. You could rename this to Claude or Gemini if you so wish, but agent keeps it agnostic. And then inside this folder, you have something called skills folder, and then you have a skill name folder, and this could be whatever the name of the skill that you wanted to do. And then inside you have the famous SKILL.md file. Then you have maybe templates, resources, maybe assets. It's really up to you how you want to populate this structure, but I would say that this is the generic version of what a skill should look like at the very minimum. And skill.md file is probably the crux of the core of that skill, and everything associated with that skill is inside that file. So I want to show you quickly what this skill.md file looks like. This is an example taken directly from that agentskills.io website that I mentioned. And inside you'll have that skill file, you'll have two fields called name and description. This is what you call the front matter of a skill. Typically, you'll have the name of the skill and then the description. And you can be as verbose as you want with this description, because the more verbose you are, the better the agent will be able to detect the skill when it digests it at the very instance it gets launched, right? So in this case, it's a very simple skill. It rolls a die, and then below that front matter, you have all the content. You have things you want to do. In this case, it is it's running a bash command and a PowerShell command, for example, to roll the die, but it could be web access. It could be access to the MCP for whatever it is. So ultimately, this SKILL.md file is really, really important, because once you've created this file, once you've created the SKILL.md file, you can then direct the prompt to do whatever it may be. And let's call the prompt an agent now, right? So we've now graduated to an agent, and it's sort of doing its thing. It's running along, and then it sort of detects a mention of something called maybe roll dice or update CRM, right? If it detects those keywords, then what's going to happen is going to go ahead and execute this over here, this skill. So there you have it. That's pretty much the sort of the structure of a skill. Once you understand what that skill looks like, then you can go ahead and create whatever skill that you want to create. And so with that, I think it would be apt to explain sort of the fundamentals of how this skill actually gets called by the agent. And you have something called progressive disclosure. And essentially, progressive disclosure is just a fancy way of saying, hey, agent, you only need to know the skill on an as needed basis, right? You don't need to know the full skill. You just need to know that the skill exists. This is what the name of the skill is, and this is what the skill does. Basically, that's it, right? And that's where the front matter comes in. So just to be very specific about this, there's something called the discovery phase. This is where you have that metadata that comes in. The metadata has as we spoke about already, has the skill 1, for example, and then has name, and then description. Then skill 2, name, and description. So if you imagine if you had 100 skills, the agent will digest all of those skills up front and then sort of preload those skills because it knows the name and the description, but it won't actually read the entire skill. That's a difference. So that's why you save on bloat. You minimize any friction that the agent has to deal with these skills, and it will only call the skill on an as needed basis. The next one is instructions. And this is where once it actually detects the skill, it will go ahead and activate the skill, right? You'll go and you'll trudge along, find the skill it needs, and it will go ahead and activate it. And then finally, you have execution, where you have the resources that we spoke about. So if you look at the structure that we created beforehand, you have resources, you have assets, you have templates. These are all resources. So now it's going to go ahead and call each one, right? So it could be files that you've created, PDFs, could be images, right? Could be docs, for example, right? And then it will go ahead and execute all the tools that we spoke about. MCP, API, calls, could be, you even have scripts here. It will call the web, file storage, right? This is where execution comes into play. So this is sort of the three-step process from discovery to activating via the instructions and then executing on that skill, right? This is what you call progressive disclosure. So in a nutshell, this is basically how a skill gets called. Now, finally, the question is, how do you actually write a good skill? How do you build a skill that's going to be detected by the agent and be executed properly. So the great thing is that you don't have to write a skill from scratch. And so over here, I've created a skill builder, and I will put a link to this builder in the description below. So if you want to create your own skill, you can just take a copy of this verbatim and just basically call it in your agent and say, hey, here's a few thoughts about what I want this skill to be done. And then it will go ahead and create that skill for you. But this skill is as specified by the agentskill.io website that I mentioned before. It will go ahead and create that directory for you with the SKILL.md file, all the resources underneath, and then go ahead and basically generate that skill for you. So you just have to be very specific with your skill. And as I mentioned before, right, building these skills is important. But there are a few caveats about how to build good skills. First and foremost, a good skill needs to be atomic, which means that it needs to be very, very specifically defined to do one thing and one thing alone very, very well. Once you've been able to identify what that specific task is, then you can delegate that into a skill. The next thing that makes a good skill is that it needs to be stateless. Now, remember when I mentioned about the whole idea between separation of access and logic? Well, the logic is that agent, right? You've got the context, you've got all the memory, you've got all the reasoning behind that agent, versus the skill, which is really more or less just a workhorse. It just does things really, really well. It does it repeatably, and it does that with a narrowly defined scope. And so that's what I mean by stateless. It doesn't have to remember anything. It doesn't need to understand. It doesn't really have to go into memory and understand what you provided. That is the job of the agent and the reasoning behind that agent. So I think overall, I hope you've got a good sense of what a good skill looks like. We've explained why skills are important, how they can benefit you when you are building powerful agents, and then finally, how to structure a good skill. And if you're able to really get your head around building a really good skill, then you will certainly be able to create much more powerful agents that can be done well, and then also be able to structure agents really well so that you can go ahead and build whatever you want. So if this video has been helpful, please like it, please share, subscribe to the channel, share it with your network, and I hope that you can get some good use out of this, and I'll see you in the next one.